Hi, I'm Jen, and we're going to start off a new reading vlog today. I do need to catch you up a little bit. After I finished This Is How to Lose the Time War, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to read. I mentioned in my May TBR video that I was not going to use my TBR jar this month. I didn't want any obligations. I was just going to mood read. But after reading This Is How You Lose the Time War, I had absolutely no idea what I was in the mood to read. So I got out my TBR jar and I didn't pay attention to genre or anything. I just picked a book out and it wound up being the absolute perfect pick. So I wound up picking The Story of a New Name by Elena Ferrante. This is the second book in the Neapolitan Quartet, and I feel like I need to ask you to hear me out for a minute because this is not the type of series that I would normally read. I just happened to see so many reviews for this series, and I was in an indie bookstore that has a lot of translated works, and I saw the first book, and I wanted to support the bookstore, and I was getting sucked in by how many people love this series. And so I picked up the first book, My Brilliant Friend, and I wound up loving it. Now, this is going to be an odd comparison, and maybe it's just because I haven't read a lot of stuff like this before, but when I read Jade City by Fonda Lee, it really reminded me of My Brilliant Friend. And My Brilliant Friend doesn't have fantasy, it doesn't have martial arts and all of that really cool speculative stuff that's in Jade City, but it has the same family drama, the same neighborhood rivalries. It had a very similar vibe to how the neighborhood and the families conflicted with one another. And you really fall for the characters like you fall for the characters in Jade City. So in the Neapolitan Quartet, we're following two women throughout the entire course of their lives. In the first book, you're following them through being very, very young through their adolescence. And then in this book, we pick up basically in their young adult years. And I'm not sure how far we get into this, but I'm going to keep you updated on how much I like this series, and I'm really hoping that my copy of The Devils by Joe Abercrombie comes in before this weekend, because I'm thinking that's what I'm going to read next. So that's where I am right now. I'm really glad you're joining me for another vlog. It is about to rain here. I'm going to check out some things in my yard, get inside, get settled. It's after work. I'm ready to relax. I'm going to read some more of this, and I will give you an update on how things are going, and I'll check in with you really soon.
Pretty little babe with a smile so sweet. When you look at me, my heart skips a beat.
Hi friends, I am currently at lunch. I am at Barnes & Noble, and I'm probably just going to stop at Starbucks and go back to the office, but I really needed to get out, so this is where I am, and I thought it might be a good time to update you on The Story of a New Name. I'm not going to give any spoilers for this book or book one. I just wanted to talk about it for a bit. I am about halfway through already, and the beginning of this I thought was really good. I mentioned in my last update that this follows two women throughout the course of their lives, and this one starts off with them being young adults, and I think the whole book is probably them being young adults. And the first part focuses on the relationship between these two women, and it's very true to life. If you've ever had any long-term friendships, toxic friendships, it deals with the ways that friends can be manipulative or even harmful to each other, and how people can still remain good friends even through these types of conflicts. And right now in the middle, it feels much more like a soap opera. It might not work for everyone. I grew up on soap operas, and it's very highly readable. Like, I'm flying through this, so I am liking it, but I do hope that we're about to move on past this relationships with other people, and just, I think that's the heart of it. The relationships that they have, not just with each other, but people outside of themselves. It's starting to feel very soap opera-y. And while I am enjoying it, I think that I am ready to move on to something new, hopefully something dramatic. And anyway, I think this is all I'm going to say. I'm going to go take you into Barnes & Noble, and we're just going to do some book shopping and clear our heads, because it has been quite the week at work, and it's only Wednesday for me, and I'm ready for the weekend. So, speaking of the weekend, I ordered The Devils, which I mentioned, and it has shipped. I'm thinking about bringing Great Big Beautiful Life back into my TBR. If I finish this and The Devils hasn't gotten to my house yet, I think I may finish reading Great Big Beautiful Life. I DNF'd this several vlogs ago, but I think I may have had enough time away from it to pick it up and see what the ending is, because even the bad reviews I've seen say that the ending at least redeemed why we were having the lady that they're interviewing do what she's doing. So I think I've had enough distance. I was getting a little frustrated and annoyed at the writing and the characters. So I will let you know if I do that. I think the fact that I'm bringing it up, I've probably solidified in my mind that I'm going to go back and read those 100 pages if The Devils doesn't show up when I finish this. Anyhow, that's just me rambling and talking to you out loud about my thoughts. So I'm going to go into Barnes and let's just have a good time.
Hearts at peace tonight. Everything's just right. Letting go of time in this sweet sunshine. Swinging to and fro. Time moving slow. In this hammock I know I'll find my glow.
I am back home now from work. It's the end of my work day. I'm home for the evening. I do have a Barnes & Noble haul. It's a little bit of an accident, but it happened. And an update on the story of A New Name. Okay, so let's get to the haul. I saw this puzzle, and my mom's birthday's coming up, and I thought I had to have this for her. I don't know if you can see it, but this store says Tea by the Sea. Anyway, I'm gonna have to borrow it from her because I didn't want to have to buy two. I also saw this book, which I am 100% in the mood for. This is my exact mood at the moment, and that is the Backyard Bird Chronicles by Amy Tan. My understanding is she chronicles her journey of bird watching and finding nature in her backyard, which I have a lot of birds that I feed every day in my yard. And as you've seen, I also have naturey things that I like to explore and talk about. So I'm just really in the mood for this one. And I've been waiting and waiting for the Ministry of Time. Sorry about the rustling. I've been waiting for the Ministry of Time to hit the 50% off table. And today was the day. So I had to get it, right? So the Ministry of Time, I don't actually know what this is about other than seeing it be another book that people either love or hate. And I feel like the people who share my taste are on the love side of this. And it's won awards and it's been talked about so much. I have FOMO and I want to know what I am missing out on. So that is the Ministry of Time. And I also got The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie. This is for AAPI month this month in May. So I will read this before the end of the month. Super excited to see this on the 50% off table. Different table, same sale. Okay. And I think the only other thing I have is this bookmark. Oh my gosh. It's got beads on the tassel, and let me see. Let me take it out. Okay. It's an octopus bookmark. They actually have a puzzle that looks just like this. It's a mosaic octopus, and the puzzle looked way too hard. I would hate it, but as a bookmark, I'm in love with it. So let's put it in my book while I talk about the story of a new name. So I mentioned in my update before I left you last that I was ready for us to move on from the part we were on. But then after I left Barnes & Noble and was going back to work, I listened to the audiobook for that short time, and immediately there was more drama and it was more soap opera-y, and I was there for it. So ignore what I said. I am loving all parts of this book. I'm definitely going to read some more of this tonight, and I will keep you updated on how it's going along. So far, it's just, more of the same drama. Good morning. It is Saturday morning for me, and I was actually hoping to sleep in today, but that didn't work out for me. It was a pretty exciting week, and last night my oldest graduated from high school. And anyway, everyone is asleep, so I thought I would come upstairs and finish reading the story of a new name and also share some things with you before I wrap up this vlog today. So I just showed you a haul in my last clip, and then the very next day I stopped in a thrift store and I had another accidental haul. So I'm going to show you what I got from there. The first thing is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. And I mentioned that I'm waiting on the Devils to show up, but I don't know if I mentioned that I've never actually read Joe Abercrombie before. So I picked this up. I think this is the first book of The First Law, right? This is probably what I will read after I finish reading The Devils. I think the only thing I know about it is it's grimdark. So be expecting this sometime in the hopefully near future. And I swore I had a copy of Hyperion, but I have not been able to find it. So when I saw this edition of Hyperion, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and grab it because I've been wanting to read it. And I know that this is a sci-fi novel by Dan Simmons, and a lot of people like this as like their favorite sci-fi. So I'm excited to find out what this one is about. And then I also got Blood of Assassins by R.J. Barker. And you may have seen several vlogs ago that I read The Bone Ships and really loved it. And when I saw this, it is a book too, so I'm not going to be reading this one soon. But hey, it was a used book at a very great price, so I know I will eventually be reading this one. I think the first book is at Age of Assassins, or am I getting that mixed up? Yes, Age of Assassins. So I'm excited to have this. I don't know if this is the next R.J. Barker series I will read. I've been seeing his new Gods of the Wormwood, I think, and I may kind of start with his new stuff and work backwards. We'll see. But anyway, I like The Bone Ship so much that it's okay for me to pick up a book too. And that's all I hauled at the used bookstore. As far as the story of a new name, I am quite a ways into this. I am 375 pages in, so that's what I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to finish reading this, and then I will give you my final thoughts. I see why people hurt so much when they finish these books. I am getting really attached to these characters, and like I said, I'll give my final thoughts whenever I'm through reading. So anyhow, that's what I'm going to be doing this morning, and I hope that you are having a fabulous weekend or week or wherever this vlog finds you. I finished reading The Story of a New Name, and I'm officially obsessed. I'm really happy with the way this ended, and I actually immediately want to pick up book 3. So now every time I go to a bookstore, I'm going to be stocking the shelves for book 3. This series is definitely going to be on my list of series that I have to keep continuing. And so let's talk about this for a minute, because first and foremost, I want to mention, if you need trigger warnings, to look those up before you go into this series, because as these women get older, the men in this series are awful. And there's a lot of triggering things that happen that I want you to be aware of if you're going to get into this series. I think this series is going to fit readers most who love character development. If you find yourself, when you're reading books, that character development is very important to you, this might be a series that you want to get into. This series really is just about the lives of these two women and how they intertwine together. And I can't believe that I'm only halfway through. I think the next 2 books may be even bigger than this one, and I'm really excited about it because I just want to be in these characters' lives for as long as possible. And I think that's a good indicator at how well Elena Ferrante is executing this series, the way that she is making the reader feel about these characters and their lives. And this book wound up being a 5-star book for me. I think I gave My Brilliant Friend 4 stars, but I think this one gives even more emotion and more depth than the first one. So I'm really excited to continue this series. And I think what I'm going to do today, I really just want to have a very lazy Saturday. And as I mentioned, my copy of The Devils is going to arrive at some point today. So between now and then, I think I'm going to go ahead and finish the last 100 pages, like I mentioned, of Great Big Beautiful Life. So just stay tuned for a little bit to see how I wind up feeling about those last 100 pages, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this one as well. So I'm glad I went back and finished reading this. The ending definitely was better, and Emily Henry did give us some explanations that were needed. I'm going to give this 3 stars, so I definitely didn't hate it. I think my biggest complaint was just the 2 main characters. For the majority of the book, I was rolling my eyes, not understanding why they were having the connection they were having. But I did really enjoy the way that the book wrapped up. I'm going to go ahead and end the vlog here. Thank you so much for spending the week with me. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you don't know what to say, just leave me the heart emoji and I will talk to you soon.